That's enough preamble. I'll tell you, let's just start. I picked Jokic for MVP again. And I don't know, it's like, how much justification do we really need? Like, there's a great argument he should be trying to get his fourth in a row right now. It came down to, there is an element of team success for MVP. Like, it's undeniable. It's really hard to win MVP if your team is not top 3, top 2 in the conference. And Denver, I think, I have the fewest questions about Denver being in, team success. I think check. Jokic's centrality to that success, like, massive check, biggest check of anybody in the league, because all the numbers we know, they just aren't good when he doesn't play. So if Denver is really good, it will only be because Jokic is really good. So, that those two things aren't in place for a lot of other guys. He's going to have the individual production. Like, he'll just walk into 25, 10, and 9 or whatever easily. And then health. I mean, he of the best players in the league, I have the fewest questions about him staying healthy and getting over the 65 games. So that's why he was the pick for me. It's like, it's very unsexy because I think he's fairly close to the consensus, just the best in the league and whatever. But yeah, we can talk. We'll get into more of like other considerations. But who did you have?
I'm Nikola Jokic as well, and it dovetails with a lot of what you say. I would reemphasize, I mean, despite what Calvin Booth thinks about Peyton Watson's Hall of Fame chances, the bench is not great this year. I would argue, just because I know they didn't lean on Christian Brown during the regular season a ton last year. So, I mean, last year during the regular season, you had 6 guys that you trusted to log these heavy minutes. It's the same case again, only I think now once you get beyond those 6 guys, and maybe even including those 6 guys, just because Brown's only a sophomore. I know he's older, a proven winner. You're rolling the dice. And if all of those dice rolls or some of those dice rolls don't pan out, the importance of Nikola Jokic only increases. And so he wins from every angle. It's when you're trying to pick your MVP, it's who kind of is on a team that's good enough, is having like a large enough indispensable impact. And then like there has to be the narrative element of look what he's doing, how he uplifts them. And I think Nikola Jokic checks every possible box there. My only concern for picking him, and I try not to let this factor in for me, there's still going to be the voter fatigue because he won 2 in a row. It was between him and Joel Embiid really last year. And I mean, even just the Embiid, Giannis, Jokic MVP debate feels like it's never ending. And so does that hurt him? I don't think it will. I think what could actually, and before I throw it back to you, go through your HMs, what could actually really help him is, he's coming off a really long playoff run, even though they dominated in the playoffs, and yet he's still this good. There's no championship hangover. He's still this important. And the Nuggets don't seem to be treating this like the stuff coming out of camp. I know it's training camp and preseason and whatever, but they seem very serious about this regular season, to where now they're bearing the burden of pressure where people have expectations for them. And I'm very interested to just see how Jokic responds to that, because I think that he's going to be just as spectacular as ever.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. So I'll go further down. I don't have I was going to say down the ballot. So the next like chunk, I guess there are 4 conveniently that I considered, and that I'll give you the argument like why I don't think they're on Jokic's level as consideration. So I have Giannis, but I just think Dame is going to kind of cannibalize some of that vote. I think Lillard will be really good there, and it'll be difficult to say who. I mean, I think Giannis will have more to do with the Bucks' success, but it might be like a 55-45 split or something close to that, where you have, who do we credit for this? Neither of these guys were on my ballot.
I was going to say, since I have Giannis on my ballot, like maybe if we're overlap, I have Giannis too.
Yeah.
And I actually think I agree with Dame kind of cannibalizing his consideration, but I also look at it as, because of the concessions the Bucks have made on defense and with some of their depth, that Giannis is so much more valuable to them on defense now than he was last year, that I think that could actually inflate his MVP case. Again, I have him too. And it's also just the Bucks are going to be really good, and they might churn out. What did they win last year? Was it 58 or 57? Yeah. And it kind of just like that could happen again if health breaks right. They just might be so good. We have to take the best player from that team, and that's clearly going to be him.
Yeah, I would say he's probably my 2. He's the first guy I mentioned. I would say he's probably next on the list. I think that's a great point. He really has an opportunity to, and we'll get to this later too, like defensively prove that he can be, he's got all this extra energy because he's not tasked with so much offensive stuff. He might really pop there. I have Embiid, like, I don't know, I guess he's 3rd, but I have real questions about, are the Sixers going to win the 50 plus games? I think we both went under, or we didn't think they'd win quite that many. And then the health issue, like, he's been relatively healthy for him, but that 65 game threshold looks kind of tough to me. And the vibes are bad with the Harden Quagmire thing. So did you have Embiid on there too?
He was number 6. Just, I don't
Okay.
know if he's going to reach the games
Yeah.
played threshold. And then, by the way, we both went over on the Sixers. We did
Well,
not
what
go
was
under.
it? Like 40?
It was 47.5. I
Okay.
can double check really quick. It was 47.5. And I think we went with, or it was 48.5, and we went with 49.
Okay. That feels like too few wins, don't you think? Like, even if they hit 49, I mean, it'd be close, but I feel a lot better about my MVP candidate if they're over that like magical 50 game mark.
I think what's also, I could envision the East being a scenario where it's like 52 games is the 1 seed type deal.
Yeah, that's true. That could be. All right. So I don't feel good about either of these next two guys. I have Steph and Jason Tatum. Curry hasn't played 65 games since 18-19. So like that.
So he's due.
That might just end it there. And then Tatum, I have written in my notes, like he will need to take a big step forward. Like I think he's, most people would say he's top 10 in terms of like where he sits in the league or somewhere around there. You really got to be like in the top 5, category, and the Celtics will have to win a ton of games. That's the other thing, is I think Boston's going to win a shitload of games. So, and he'll probably be the most significant reason for that. I like some of my omissions honestly better and think they're better players, but I don't think their teams are going to be good enough. So I'll throw it back to you there.
So I had Steph third because it's a gamble, but this whole thing is just a gamble. Like you said, he hasn't played in 65 games in a while, or like, but he only needs to get to 62. But not really. Yeah. There feels like there's a sense of urgency with the Warriors just based off. I actually think the Jordan Poole move was also a bookkeeping move. But when you swap out someone that young who is so integral to your 2 timeline structure for Chris Paul, who's on this such immediate track where you're not going to have him for more than this season, maybe not even the entirety of this season. I talked to this about Sam Esfandiari, and this also swayed me towards it, is that the Warriors understand the urgency behind this window to the extent that where it feels like Bob Myers maybe wouldn't have reflipped CP3 in the middle of the season if the right trade came along, Mike Dunleavy Jr. and Kirk Lacob might. And so just the urgency, I think that leads me to believe that Steph is going to be on. They're all trying to just put what happened last season behind them. And I think what could hurt his MVP case is if they start really doing well in the minutes without him because of Chris Paul running the offense. But he is just, it's kind of shocking. I saw someone, and I don't really get in the team propaganda, but the fact that Steph is never ranked higher than like 4th in ESPN's top 100 or something like that over the past, like whatever years, ever since his first title, has been kind of weird to me. He was kind of like an early favorite before he got hurt last year. He was playing so well. And so if things break right, I think he'll be top, like he'll definitely be in the top 5 or top 3, whatever. So I have him there.